In this edition of Careers That Matter, I'm joined by Mr. N.J. Ayuk of the African Energy Chamber, coming to me from Johannesburg, South Africa. Mr. Ayuk, welcome. Can you tell me what your job is?
I have an amazing job. I am the executive chair of the African Energy Chamber. For African Energy Chamber, it is it's an advocacy group that really advocates for more energy in Africa, energy growth, advocates for free markets and limited government, and really try to bring in a lot of investment into the African continent. So I would say I have a dream job because every day I get to deal with different issues, whether it comes to talking or heads of states or captains of the energy sector or banks or financiers, or heck, even talking to climate activists every day. So it's never a dull moment.
So what does an average day look like for you? Are you always working out of an office, or are you on the move constantly, constantly on your phone, computer, and so on? Like, how do you allot your time?
I think 3 weeks in a month I am on the road. I'm traveling from different countries. You have 54 countries across the African continent. I would have to pick a few countries that I have to either visit the head of state or a minister in government dealing with energy, and either dealing with an energy crisis or an energy issue, be it Mozambique, South Africa, Namibia, or Nigeria, or Benin, Senegal. I would have to do at least 5 or 6, but also there's also a lot of trips I have to travel, whether it is to Asia or North America or Europe, where we have to work on doing presentations on attracting investment to the continent. But then there is other issues within the secretariat that you have to manage every day in order to get more young people in and get more training and development, and then speaking at schools where we need to encourage more people to get into the energy industry. So in a day, it gets really hectic. My days are always 12 to 15 hours a day, and you still have to find time to either get up to talk at night or see them in the morning before they go to school. But it's, for me personally, I see it as a calling, something that you're doing bigger than your own personal interest, and it's a great opportunity.
So you're also running the organization as well, aren't you? You're the outward face to the world, but you also run a team. Well, tell me about your team. How many people and departments do you have that you're managing?
We have a team of about 85 people between Johannesburg, Cape Town, but also across the African continent. And you have to manage section lead presidents in different regions: East Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, and you have to get into daily calls with them up on what crises, what issues are going on. But then you still have a team that focuses on communications, that we have to deal with issues, companies that invest in the continent, what issues they have, and how to convey media message into everyday people. That comes in. We have a research team that works out a lot from our office, and sometimes managing with external consultants on really preparing data, because today it's really important to get the data right. So you compare data with what it is with OPEC, we compare EA, and then also compare data with the US energy departments to really ensure that we get this data on and then share it around Africa. And we have to still do these briefings. We also have a whole big logistic team that ensures that movements of services and everything is there. And we have a consulting arm that is providing a lot of consulting services to governments, consulting services to companies, and really bringing them in. So you get to, as a chair, I get to really sit with all these departments and listen to them and give directions and really be able to drive that. So part of that also helps because my training as a lawyer also gives me a big more ability to understand things from different level and also look at some of the legal and regulatory issues that we have to deal with. And we have a legal department that works on most of our legal and regulatory matters.
Do you also have to play a role in managing finances and raising funds to keep the chamber financially afloat?
I'm a bad accountant, but I'm a great fundraiser. So what I do, I think I'm very, very limited to go raise the money. And I think part of it also is that I have to, I learned it in the United States. You start dialing for dollars. You have to always dial in to catch up with companies, to catch up with donors, to ensure that our work continues to grow every day. We continue to build in because the challenges we have. So at a sense, you're always asking people for money. So sometimes you kind of learn how to be like a preacher in a mega church, always asking to pass the plate around. And I think I became so used to that. So, but sometimes you have to give people warnings and say, "Hey, man, I'm calling to talk to you. I'm not asking for money. I want us to talk energy." But we need to always raise money to keep the organization going, and I think that's sometimes the toughest part of it. But it is our bread and butter. If we can't do that, then all the jobs, all the people, all the issues. Don't forget, we're one of the organizations that negotiates for Africa during the COP discussions every year, and we have to mobilize and be there and still try to drive that.
So you mentioned that you studied law. Where did you study? And at the time that you first entered university to start to study law, did you envision that you would have wound up where you are today?
Oh no, I never thought. I have a very strange story getting into this. I went to University of Maryland, College Park, and before that, I was in a small university in New Jersey. My first major was ballet, and I moved from studying ballet to politics. Then later on, went to law school, and then I wanted to be a civil rights lawyer because I had Thurgood Marshall and Charles Hamilton Hills and I wanted to work in civil rights, and then I ended up working with the United Nations and then went to law firms, but then ended up doing a lot more work in energy because I realized working in Africa, a lot of our crises, a lot of the African problems came around energy, having energy. And I felt if I was going to do something really important in this continent, it was really going to be important that I really become a driver in energy. And from serving one energy client to another, then I became, I started writing about it. I started writing books about energy, and I became an energy advocate, and I became an oil and gas lawyer. If someone told me I would end up as a premier oil and gas lawyer in this continent, I would have said no. It just happened to have career. I love every day of it. There is always something new, and it's bigger than just contracts. It's about life.
So what do you think it is about you, as far as your personality is concerned, that led you to be open to the experiences that took you in a different direction than you may have thought that you were going to, but also helped you to succeed along the way?
I think number one, being inquisitive, and also number two, the ability to always ask questions. There is that feeling of saying you have to always ask questions, and you have to always probe, and you have to always bring in the why. And when you do that, but you have to also be very open-minded to look at facts and look at them differently, and be able to say, I could be swayed to move left or right or front or center, depending on the facts that lay in front, and never be so dogmatic. And I think that pragmatism and ability to have an open mind on things really led me there. And I would have, given the background that I brought into the energy industry, it brought issues to the fore of this, that things which I always thought in my career were not focused by big corporations. I've had a chance to put on the table, like women's issues and issues around young people, issues around building local capacity and local communities. These issues used to just be outside the boardrooms. I have been able to bring them in the boardrooms and really advocate for them in the boardrooms. And that gives me a real pleasure, where I start seeing plans by energy companies putting women, young people, and communities front and center. That is a far cry from the past. So you got to be open, and you got to always be able to seek to build allies, and even people you sometimes don't agree with. You have to find ways to agree. Your 10%, enemy is not your 90% enemy all the time. If you agree with someone on 90% or even 51, you're still winning. but always find middle ground and always find common ground, because we all have common dreams to go somewhere, and that is really important.
Well, it sounds to me through your work, you actually are in a position to address a wide range of civil rights by ensuring that through your work, you'll see energy development, which will then help to address so many issues when you can have enriched economies. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for the incredible work that you do. I appreciate meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you for giving Africa a voice on your show.
My pleasure.